just in case someone would want to watch this. I do have other new coach calls recorded on my YouTube page if you want to go back and watch other ones. The question and answers at the end are always gold. So I'm really hoping that you're coming with like a burning question. And I know that some of you on here have been coaching for a while, so you have good things to say as well. So I would love your input on those question and answers. But I really just want to have you walk away from this call and feel like, okay, I can at least get my feet wet, get the ground moving. Oh, that's not how the phrase goes. Get my feet running on the ground. So when I first started coaching, I did not have an upline coach that taught me things, that held my hand, that did anything. And in the moment, I was kind of sad about that. But looking back, it truly forced me to be resourceful and forced me to figure it out anyways. And I honestly think that's probably the biggest reason that I'm still here 6 years in, is I have that drive to just figure it out. So I learned everything I know from YouTube, from Googling questions I had about coaching and watching one of the hundreds and hundreds of videos that other top coaches put out on their own YouTube channels. And I just figured it out and I tried things, and not everything worked. A lot of things sucked. But in the beginning, my business thrived on me showing up on social media every single day, no matter what, and also running free groups. Now, not everything in my business I have kept doing 6 years through. The consistency is still there. It looks a little different than it did 6 years ago, but that's because social media has changed in the last 6 years. So it kind of has to ebb and flow with that. I also don't personally run free groups anymore, but they worked really, really well for me just because I dove into them 100%. So just know that you get to make this business however you want to. The key is that if you're not having fun doing it, you're doing it wrong. Like, you absolutely need to just like fall in love with the process. And if at any moment you're like, this sucks, then you need to take a step back, message your upline, message me, message somebody who you see their name on the leaderboard, and be like, can you just help like reinvigorate this for me? Because it's just not fun right now. And we can help break that down for you, because you should be having a blast doing this. We literally get to be our healthiest selves, share that with other people, and make an income from it. So make sure that you're having fun. All right, so diving in, I kind of mentioned this already, but if you really want to be successful from the get-go, the social media consistency is huge. Does that mean you need to be completely attached to your phone and posting like 20 times a day? No. I haven't posted a single story on my Instagram in almost 24 hours. And I try to just take one day a week. It doesn't always happen because I do love this job, but I try to take one day a week where I don't post any stories, which actually can boost your engagement, because you don't have any content for people to watch. And then all of a sudden you do. And then Instagram is like, whoa, this person's back. And they start showing it to people, and then people are engaging with it and watching it. So it's not a bad idea to kind of take one day off and kind of not be on your phone. So consistency doesn't mean attached to your phone. It just means, for instance, some businesses are open 7 days a week, but there are very successful businesses that are closed on Sundays. There are successful businesses that are closed on Sundays and Mondays, but they have consistent hours. They're not like choosing when to be open, or I'm going to be open late this week and I'm going to close early next week. There's some consistency to their game plan. So figure out what's going to work for you. You know, if you have a full-time job, you have 6 kids at home, like maybe your consistency is that you show up for 30 minutes every single night right before you go to bed, or you get up 30 minutes earlier and you show up those 30 minutes for your business. Like, figure out what's going to work for you. When I first started, I was teaching full time, and I had a five-year-old, yeah, 5-year-old at home. I had to do the math, -6. And so I had to get up early. I had to use my lunch hour at school. I had to stay up late until a year in, I decided to actually leave teaching and do this full time. So then I had like too much time on my hands. And you guys, my income actually went down because I was spinning my wheels. And I wasn't focused with the time that I was spending on my business. So you do not need to spend hours and hours a day on this. It's about consistency. So figure out what that consistency means for you specifically. With that social media, it's important to not just be talking about fitness and what you're eating. Yes, that's important. You definitely need to be doing that. But talk about real things, like what makes you you, what makes you tick, what really fires you up, what are you passionate about? What are your hobbies? Are you a mom? Are you wanting to be a mom? Do you struggle with infertility and you want to talk about that journey? You don't have to talk about every single thing about your life. Like I want you to keep things private that you want to keep private, but the more things that you are open about that kind of hit at a deeper level for people, you're going to be building really strong trust with your followers, which is what you want, so that your business doesn't ever feel like the hey girl message or icky or spammy. Like you want to be creating real connection with people through your posts. Like you want to be building that connection because people are watching, they are reading your content. So share stuff about your life that you would tell your best friend. Don't air out your dirty laundry that you haven't dealt with. Like talk about things that you have overcome already, that you have come to like a knowing about, that you can share with other people that may be struggling with that thing, so you can help pull them out and give them that positive spin at the end. A lot of people ask about, how do I take good pictures? So just very quickly, tips for that is to face a window. If it's nighttime, buy a ring light. They're not expensive on Amazon. Just invest in one. They're amazing. They take away all the shadows. I do not have a ring light on right now. And you can tell, like my face is dark compared to the light behind my head. My ring light is out in the living room. So invest in a ring light, or just take all of your pictures during the day and just face a window, hold your camera in front of you. You can buy a really cheap tripod if you want to do that. Put your phone on timer and just snap pictures. You do not need a fancy camera. You don't need like fancy equipment. Like good lighting, snap a picture. You can throw a filter on it if you want to brighten it up, but you don't have to. It's really just about creating an image that's going to stop people. The main thing is you don't want to take a picture like what you see on the screen right now. This is not eye-catching. My face is dark. Everything behind me is light. That's not going to stop somebody's scroll. So you just want it to be your bright, glowing face, well lit, so that people stop and then they read what you have to say with your post. And then I just want to talk about personal development. And I'm really crossing all my fingers and praying that you guys have some questions that we can discuss and dive into and brainstorm to help you guys. And they can be from any level of where you're at in your business. I really want to talk about how important personal development is. And I know if Brianna is your coach, that you know this already. She ingrains it into her people, which is the absolute best. It's a non-negotiable. If you're going to be in any sort of business, I actually own 3 businesses. And so I can attest to this even more, that literally no matter what business you own, you are going to feel the imposter syndrome. You're going to self-doubt. You're going to be like, what am I actually doing owning this? Like I am running this. I am the boss. And you need to be battling that with positivity and podcasts and books. Because you'll just swallow yourself up in your own negative talk in your head if you don't. And the world needs us to be on fire for serving people and helping people and loving on people. And we can so easily succumb to the negativity if we're not giving ourselves a fighting chance with that. So make that a non-negotiable. Every single top coach in the network, any successful coach will tell you that they read, they listen, they fill their minds, their days with positivity and empowerment. So non-negotiable, has to happen. So those would be my two biggest things. If I had to pick two, would be personal development and consistency on social media. There is a question over here. Sarah said, I didn't buy a ring light for the longest time, but there were days I didn't share my workout because of poor lighting. It may seem silly, but having a ring light can help boost your confidence when sharing your workouts and self posts. 10 out of 10 recommend. Plus, you can find a good ring light without breaking the bank. I totally agree. My ring light comes with a tripod and it extends. Like I think it goes over 6 feet, but if I extended all of them, and the ring light is huge. Your phone sits right in the middle. I believe it was $60. You can spend hundreds if you want to, but don't, because it's literally just a string of LED lights in a circle. That's all it is. So find one if you need the link to the one I have. I mean, I bought it 2 years ago, so maybe the price has changed, but I can link it on the team page if you need it, or just private message you, but invest in one. It's a game changer. Takes all the shadows away from your face. Huge, huge. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Make sure that you're kind of just coming up with maybe a running list of predictable. Now, when I say predictable, it's more consistent that I want to use, I guess. Consistent topics that you would talk about that make you you. That way, when you're sitting down at night or when you sit down for your work session, whatever time that is, you have this list of like, okay, I haven't really talked about how much I love my dog in a really long time, which is crazy because I love my dog. And then you're like, I need to take a picture of my dog. Oh no, I have 100 on my camera roll ready to go. So that way you can kind of gauge on which topic should I talk about tonight. And it's not always health and fitness. So any questions or ideas or comments from more veteran people on success tips?
I know a lot of us kind of struggled this past month, myself especially included. How do you push through those really, really hard moments without, how do you push through those hard moments?
I love this question. So when I was making the leaderboard and I didn't see as many names as normal, I was like, okay, I probably need to do a team call on this. So this will kind of be my run through of what I want to talk about on that call. But you guys, this is just real life of entrepreneurship. This is a blip in the whole list of days that we're here on this earth. Even if it was a whole month, I didn't hit Success Club last month. I had a lot of other things going on in my life with my other businesses and things I needed to focus on. And so I had to adjust, I had to shift. It's not always, let me back up. There's no such thing as balance. So everyone's like, I'm trying to find balance. I want to find peace. How do I make all of the pieces of my life feel like they're, ebbing and flowing in the right way? There's never going to be a time where you feel like your marriage, your parenting, your job, your social life are all like just rocking it. They're not. Like your house is going to be a mess if your business is doing well. You're like, it's never all going to be awesome. And it just so happened, it seems like that a lot of us kind of had one of those moments with our business. Like it is what it is. So for me, in all the years that I've been doing this, I really used to beat myself up. And so I know that that's typically the default for my coaches, because they're like, oh, I suck. Like I knew I couldn't do this. Like I couldn't even reach the goals. The bar was set pretty low and I still didn't even reach it. What am I doing here? And then you just get in this like shame cycle of like, I suck. At least I do. Not anymore. I have talked at great lengths about this topic with Candace. And some of you may know her. You've maybe seen her name on the leaderboard. She's one of my dear friends, and she is an Enneagram 3 like myself. So we are like doers, and we love accolades and praise, and we just like, we're firstborn type A, like we're go-getters. We do it. And so when we don't hit goals, like it is soul crushing, but we have done a lot of growth and work in this, in knowing that we have to brainstorm other ways to find and feel success. So looking back at last month, what are 10 things that you did amazing at? Or what are just 10 things that you did well or did good? Like, did you help one person? Well, if you weren't coaching, would that person have had these resources in their lap? No. Did you host 5 days a week, the whole month, and you're really proud of yourself for that? Like, we've even talked about, her and I have even talked about, do we need to like send each other Success Club prizes for hitting Success Club 2, just so like we get that pat on the back, just to feel better about ourselves? Like, we've thought about everything, outside the box, inside the box. And what it comes down to is, it is what it is. And dwelling on a goal that you didn't hit in the past is not going to help you reach for that goal moving forward. Like, you have to bless and release, say, okay, that was that. I'm going to learn X, Y, and Z from what I did there. Did I show up as much as I should have? Did I have the right positive attitude when I was posting or writing my posts all month? Did I feel desperate at the end because I wasn't hitting Success Club? And did that come across in some of my conversations? Do I just need to relax and have fun and bring back the excitement of what we do as coaches back into my life? 10 out of 10, that's probably been my issue. I need to re-look at things. I need to sit down and maybe journal a little bit and talk to myself, because maybe I've been ignoring some feelings that have been coming up and making me feel more anxious and overwhelmed. And it affects other pieces of your life when you don't keep those things in check. So there's a lot of thoughts. And like I said, this is just basically a rough draft of what I want to talk about. I need to kind of throw my thoughts down on paper, but for me, when I don't do well, it's linked to the fact that I'm ignoring something mental health wise and not addressing it and seeing it for what it is. And then I just let it trickle into other aspects of my life. And then I don't perform the way that I want to. So my advice, if you ever are feeling that way, is to talk to somebody, reach out to another coach on our team, be like, hey, I'm kind of feeling cruddy about last month, or I didn't hit a goal that I wanted to. Can we like pump each other up? Can we just kind of brainstorm, maybe rethink my business in a new way, brainstorm a new idea on how to have conversations, or maybe I need to do a free group or mix things up. Like, it's a totally normal part of business. And if you're in this for the right reasons and for the long haul, and wanting to serve people, in the beginning, when I was struggling the most with those situations, when I really got real with myself, it was because I was focusing on me and me not hitting goals that I wanted to, instead of always posting to serve other people and to make somebody else's day and to figure out, okay, who needs this today? Like, God, give me the person who is ready to jump. Instead, I was like, oh, I need to get these points and I suck. And it was all here. As soon as I flip that around, it's like people come out of the woodwork and they start messaging me, people that I didn't even know were watching me. It's like, God is just so crazy bananas like that, when he's like, I've been waiting for you to stop focusing on yourself and making this about you, because it's not about you. So like I said, that's kind of another piece that I probably bring up in that chat. Because I have had a couple of coaches reach out and just say, like last month wasn't so great. And it's like, guys, we need to just lesson release, check your mental health, and think outside the box and think of what can we learn from it. Because this, my last point, that feeling overarches to way beyond Beachbody. If you are bickering with your husband and you just sit there and you focus on like, he doesn't do this for me or he doesn't whatever, and you're just like focusing on that and focusing on how you feel instead of thinking, how can I love him better? Like, how can I make this month better than what I felt all of last month? Like, we need to, like, I myself, I'm needing to hear this too. These ideas of like, I didn't reach a goal or I didn't do what I really wanted to do with my life for the last 30 days. That is more than just business. That can be thought of in so many different ways: friendships, marriage, parenting, all the things. So that's a deep, deep thought. Hopefully that helped. Any thoughts, ideas, or anything you want to piggyback off of that? Or
this is not off of that, but something that I had to be reminded of recently was I think I would get defeated a lot sending messages, even if it wasn't like invites. I know like some coaches like to message new followers. And I think with every message, I subconsciously thought that I should be getting responses back. Like everyone I sent out, like I made 20 connections today, but only one of them got back. So that's only one connection. Like, how am I supposed to get to 20? And I think Andrea, you said it before, like, especially with being consistent, you just want them to know that your doors are open, that your business is open. Like, you could be sharing your workouts, which is what I think I did for a long time, but people don't know they can join you. They're just watching you and seeing what you do. And so I think, like, looking back to me being a new coach, I would say send the invite, tell people what you're doing, but tell them that they can join you. And also, if you're saying, hey, welcome to my page, or thanks for following along on my journey, or thank you for the love on my post, don't expect something back. Just know that that was your invitation to say, hey, my doors are open. So if they do start engaging with you more, if you message them again, it's not just like a cold invite. You already acknowledged their engagement before. And so I think instead of getting as defeated by not hearing responses, just know that you're planting seeds for the future and not to like count yourself as negative for getting 1 out of 20 comments back, and just say, I did the best I could today, and like, thank you for following along with me.
I love that so freaking much, because it reminds me that it's all about the word expectation. And the reason that there's disappointment in this world at all is because of the word expectation. And if we take that out, because the expectations that we have, you guys, they live up here. 99.9% of the time, we don't tell people what our expectations are. Like, that was probably the biggest learning curve for me as a teacher was, oh my gosh, my students have no idea what I'm actually expecting them to say or do or act. Like, I actually have to tell them. And then my discipline completely changed, because if you actually say, like, take the expectation from here to here. And so when we're sending messages, I totally agree with you, Sarah, that so often we have that expectation of, well, I'm going to say hi, so I expect them to, say something back. But if you just take that away and just be like, I'm just going to send them some love today and thank them, and just like bless and release it, and then don't think about it the rest of the day, because you've done your piece, you've served them, you've sent them love. And if they say something back, it'll just be like, it'll give you goosebumps all over, and it'll just be the best thing ever. I love that. Love that so much. And we also need to take expectation out of our relationships with our significant others. I need to. Oh, I've got lots of work to do.
It's seriously so funny that you guys just brought this up because like last night we had a little date night and like the expectations just like really got me disappointed in the night. And then like this morning when we talked about it, it was like I had a good, like my husband was like, I had a good night, like it was fine. And he was like, why didn't you have a good night? And I was like, because I was expecting that we would do this. And when we didn't do that, I just got upset because I'm a planner and I like things to go the way it goes. And you're so right. If I just went into the night open-minded, it would have been a great night. But you're so right too. Like going into messaging, you know, when we expect things, it might not turn out that way. But if you go into it just completely open-minded, which is so hard for all of us because most of the time we're type A people, but going into it without the expectations, just leaving open a doorway really is a much better way of looking at this.
Mhm. For
And then
instance-
also,
go ahead.
I have this, you mentioned earlier about like balance and how there's no way of like truly being balanced. And I cannot agree with that more. And actually, obviously in bed right now, but like next to my bed is this book called Juggling Elephants. And it talks just about that and about how like in the circus, a 3-ring circus leader has to focus on one ring at a time in order to make the show really entertaining. And that's how it is in life too. You have to focus on the ring of life that you are in the moment that you're in it, or else all the other rings will crash and burn. And so when you're in it, when you're doing the coaching part, put all things else aside, really focus on that. When you're wearing your mom hat, put your mom hat on. When you're wearing your teacher hat, put that hat on. Like you just have to focus on what you can focus on, which kind of rolls back into those expectations.
Yeah, like taking the expectations off of ourselves to think that we should be superheroes and do everything awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Love it. For example, if you had a story and you put a poll on there that you wanted people to vote on, let's say it's not even health and fitness related, and it's like, which shirt do you like better? Or should I cut my hair short or keep it long? And you're just responding. So you look at who voted on what, and then you can send a little message to each person. When you're, let's say that's just a quick copy paste, like, hey, thanks for being team long hair, because I really don't want to cut it, but my husband thinks I should cut my hair or whatever. And like you're sending all those messages, take the expectation out that you're going to get any messages back. Like that's just a really quick and easy way to build community and just like send out a connection with somebody. And if it's your first time messaging somebody, they're probably going to be like, whoa, this is weird. And you just have to know that people are going to think it's weird. And it's not gross, it's not icky, but it's just you're making conversation and they're used to kind of being a fly on the wall on social media. And so when somebody reaches out to them, they're like, oh, this is weird. And then they keep watching and then they're like, oh, maybe she's not weird at all. And she's kind of just like me. And then they actually respond and that you start having those like real friendships happen. But you have to be willing to be weirdo in the beginning and have zero expectations of anything happening beyond just you sending a message and building that connection with somebody. So that's how it all kind of starts. The invitation, I think, comes way later. Or if they're just watching and they engage with one of your fitness things, then you can kind of reach out and kind of speed that process along. But also just let it be organic and take the expectation out that you need to have X number of signups by X date in order to feel successful. Like if you help one person, it's one person that wouldn't have had that person reach out had you not done that. That would also help with the whole sucky last month. Take the expectation off. So what if we don't hit Success Club? It takes you out of what? The running for all of those, like the prizes at the end. Yeah, I really wanted the Ray-Ban sunglasses or whatever the 12-month is. Like, okay, so I can buy my own freaking Ray-Ban sunglasses if I really want to. You know, like it's a new month. Everyone starts at 0 on the first of the month. So fresh start.
Okay, this doesn't necessarily have to do with business, but maybe you could apply it. But just my thought on expectations, I definitely feel like with my significant other, like, and I think we've had situations like Sarah talked about, like date nights. It's like someone could have a great time and then someone's just like not happy. I realize that I'm like very quiet and I can be very passive aggressive. And so just like, obviously if we're going out on a date or doing something fun, we both want to have fun. So if I find myself not having fun and I'm like, wow, I just really want to do that thing, I should probably say it. Like, even if they don't want to do it, they'll just do it with me if I say, hey, this was the one thing I wanted to do and it's going to make my night. They're going to do it because they want you to be happy and everyone wants to have fun. And so
Right.
sometimes you just need to remind yourself, like, if you notice expectations or you notice like you're in a funky mood, like maybe you just need to say it because the other person's probably not trying to make you feel that way. Like, you just say it.
Oh my gosh, this conversation is like so relevant to my life right now. We just went to Nashville, and of the last day, well, my one thing I wanted to do was have brunch somewhere really fun, like really good breakfast, and I don't need to be dressed to the nines like all the bachelorette parties going to brunch there and having mimosas, but I just wanted a good lunch or brunch. And we couldn't find anything. And the last day we're like trying to find some place. We found a place. There was an hour wait. We didn't have that much time. So we're here driving around. He's like, how about Waffle House? I'm like, we're not going to freaking Waffle House. And so it was just so negative. And by the end, we had found we just had to eat somewhere. So we ate somewhere. It was whatever. But he's like, he got in a funk. And I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, well, every suggestion I had, you told me like how dumb it was. And like, it was so negative. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I totally didn't know that I was coming across that way. And I apologize, but thinking now after this conversation, it was all because I had this expectation that was the one thing I wanted to do while we were there, and it didn't happen. And so that was me being a prick and taking it out on him because we decided to like really try to do it on the very last day right before our plane was leaving at 1. So it was this is very eye-opening. Another reason I love coaching, because it applies to so many areas of life and us just being better human beings. Probably something I should write a post about. Any other questions? There are no dumb questions. Ask anything. Literally no dumb questions. And if you don't want to say it, you can type it in the chat. There's 1 more minute. I'll just ask one more question. What do you feel like is your biggest hurdle or hardest part of just coaching in general? Like, what do you feel like is your personal challenge that you're kind of leaning into or working on? Is it writing posts? Is it taking pictures? Is it invites? Is it your self-talk? Just kind of want to pick one and brainstorm just for like 2 minutes. Peyton, I can see that you unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was just gonna jump in and say, I've only been doing this for like a month now.
Yeah.
And for me, it's definitely invites. I have not sent an invite yet for someone
Okay.
that didn't reach out to me first.
Okay.
And I guess it's like you guys keep saying, I don't want to be the person that, because I've had people do that to me before, where you get messages and it's like, hey, do you want to do this product I'm doing? And it's like, no, I don't. I'd have,
Yeah.
or like when you've showed no interest in it. And so I'm like struggling with how to reach out to someone and knowing that they might actually have interest, and not being like to offend, not trying to like offend them and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So I think the easiest ways to bridge that gap and also kind of help yourself rip off that Band-Aid of the scariness of it is create a health and fitness post. Maybe it's a transformation, a before and after. It doesn't even have to be you. It could be somebody else in your accountability group, like you just giving them a shout out, like, look at how incredible this is. She did this from home. She's in my accountability group, or here are my results. I'm so excited about this. I want to help other people, and just share it. And then anybody who likes your post or comments on your post, you can reach out to those people and just thank them for liking it, thank them for commenting on it, and just in one sentence at the end, just say, have you ever thought about joining a group like this? Send. And then take all your expectation away from it. You never know who needs that message. If people get offended by that message, that actually means that there's other crappy things going on in that person's life, that they would take that and make it negative. So
Right.
don't like take that on yourself. Other easy ways would be on Instagram. If you just make a poll, like talk about your health and fitness or show your workout routine, and just be like, would you want information on my next group? Yes or no, or yes or maybe, and anyone who votes on that. And again, I don't get a ton of like votes on those types, but sometimes they do. So those would be kind of starter ways to do that. But I think the longer you're in it, the more relationships you've built, especially with people that maybe you only know on social media, where those conversations can come up more naturally. But in the beginning, it is kind of like jumping into the deep end, Does that help?
Yeah, that actually helps a lot. And I did really like the conversation earlier about the just getting rid of the expectations, because I've done posts before with like a poll or stuff like that, and I just didn't know how to go from there. So this was actually really helpful.
Okay, good. And if you're ever feeling stuck, like, you can reach out to any of us and just be like, hey, I don't feel like my invites are really landing very well, and we'll probably ask you to screenshot what you have been doing, and then we can give you tips on maybe how to change it or switch things up or whatever.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
I would also just add that product launches are really good too, because I don't know, I found with like Let's Get Up, it felt a lot more natural to me to reach out and be like, hey, or like, I think it was the $40 off like codes. I'm like, hey, I have this, like, would you be interested? Or like, this is coming up, I thought of you. I think those really help. So like, I think with job coming up, if it's a shorter workout, if you know friends that are really busy and struggle working out, just saying like, hey, this new program, I thought of you, would you be interested in joining me? Like, we start on this date. And then like, I think that's more natural because you're inviting them to do it with you, or like you thought of them for a specific reason. So then sometimes that doesn't feel as ucky because you're thinking of them and not just like sending them a message like, hey, this is new, you should try it.
Yeah, it's all about making it about them. So like Sarah said, I thought of you, but make sure that you say a specific reason why, because I've had people say that with like makeup or jewelry, and I don't wear either. So they're like, hey, I thought of you. I thought you'd want this. I'm like, no, you really didn't, because you obviously don't know me. I have all of my makeup tattooed on. I don't put it on. So say why, like, I thought of you because you told me before that you really feel like you don't have time to work out. And this one is only 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. I think we can do this, and I'm going to do it. We can hold each other accountable. So let's do this. Are you ready? Like, that would be a message you would send to a close friend that you already know that maybe has given you an excuse before. If you can speak to people's excuses, or even make a post talking about that in general, so that you can kind of cast your net a little bit wider. And then anybody who engages with that post, or you could even create a poll. I've done these in the past on Facebook, or even it's easier on Facebook, but you could do it either. I guess you could do it either, but like comment below with a blue heart if blah, 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 a yellow heart if blah, 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 like common excuses. And then you can have a personal message, like just DM them based on what color they said about like, hey, I totally felt that same way. You know, it's like a conversation starter. They're giving you like the first part of the conversation of their excuse, and then you can kind of speak to that in Messenger. So that's another thing. This was a really good call, really good conversation. I'm so glad I recorded it. If you guys think of any other questions, my door's always open. The DMs are always open. I will post this so that you can share it with other teammates that you think would benefit from it. And thanks for showing up, guys. See you later.